Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary since cab driver William Huey Huson was found dead. Huson picked up his last fare outside Howie's on Front. Police think he then drove out to Central Point, where the suspect shot and killed him.
Huson's murder is a case police have been trying to figure out for the last year.
And as News 10's Caitlin Conrad shows us in a special edition of Medford's Most Wanted, detectives are more than ready to figure out who Huey's last fare was.
I am sick and tired of waiting.
Huey Huson's wife has been waiting for an arrest in her husband's death for 365 days. Each one of those days, detectives have been trying to find the person responsible for a brutal murder.
I can tell you this case has been worked to some degree every day for the last year.
Detective Tony Young is the lead investigator. He says every time there's a violent case in the area, he looks into it, trying to find a connection. The detective and his partner also spend a lot of time talking to criminals and sometimes pulling in new information, eliminating people who were persons of interest.
We check jail files and find out that that person just got lodged, and we'll go over and talk to them in the jail frequently.
But none of those leads have panned out. Young says what they need is a tip to crack this case. Not just any tip, but one from the person who heard a confession or saw the killer acting strange the night of Huson's murder.
A family member, a girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend, whatever the case may be, that remembers that night and that their other half was acting suspicious or any suspicious behavior after.
Young says this person has a moral responsibility, and beyond that, he says it's safer for them to tell police than to let this person walk free.
You really want to be living with a person or associated with a person that is capable of this.
A crime brutal and cold in nature. Young says the person who killed Huson set out to rob him, and that they also came to downtown Medford armed with a handgun, a weapon they used to kill him and steal his shaving kit, but for some reason left behind his jewelry.
I would really love to be sitting across from the person that did this, discussing it with them and try to figure that out. I've done that in other cases, and it's interesting to learn what was going through their mind, but we don't know yet.
Police won't know until they can get the killer sitting in this chair, something a wife who was left behind desperately wants. This weekend, Susan Huson held a candlelight vigil, not only to remember her husband, but also in hopes of coaxing out a confession.
Anybody that knows anything could not see this vigil and see how much love there was and how much he was loved, and keep any information they might have to themselves.
Covering your news in Medford, Caitlin Conrad, News 10.
And a year later, no one has been arrested in the case, and all police have is a description from witnesses at Howie's that night. Tonight, News 10's Caitlin Conrad is at the police department with a look at where investigators are at on the case. Caitlin?
Good evening, Rick Church. I'm here at Medford Police Department with Lieutenant Mike Boudreau, and you guys do have a suspect description in the Huson case. It's a case you really want to solve. So can you tell me, what is the description of the person who might have been involved in this crime?
Yeah, well, here's what we know about the suspect, what we believe we know. We're looking for a white male. He's going to be 25 to 35 years old, about 6'1" to 6'2", so on the taller end. Weighed about 170 to 190. One thing that was unusual that the witnesses indicated was that he had a pockmarked face, or like acne scars on his face. And then he had a black ball cap. He had a black Carhartt style jacket and jeans, and unfortunately that is, I know folks would like to have more information, but that's the best we have at this point.
And how did you guys come up with this description?
You know, here's how we came up with it. Huey Huson picked up the killer in his cab in front of Howie's. And that was a really busy Saturday night. A lot of people were around, and there was a couple witnesses that were outside at the time and recalled that, and they are the ones who provided us with the description.
Thanks, Lieutenant Boudreau. Coming up later on Medford's Most Wanted, we're going to take a look at some mugshots of people that you guys want to get in custody. Thanks so much. Back to you in the studio.